Hello, my name's Eric, and welcome to the Big Man's Outdoors. I'm going to do some shooting today with the 224 Valkyrie. I've been following along with me reloading. My last video was me talking about some horrific groups that well, not horrific groups, but groups that had opened back up again. It was my fourth time shooting brass that I am cycling through. And I thought maybe it had something to do with the brass itself. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out. So what I did was I took that brass that I shot 4 times with and I annealed it. And I've got some 95 grain Sierra Match Kings that I'm going to shoot. These first group that I'm going to shoot is with brass that is not, it's my second time for this brass. This is once fired federal factory brass. And then I've got another group loaded up of 95 grain Sierra Match Kings with the exact same loads, but it'll be the 5th time shot and the annealed brass. And then I've also got a set of 80 grain ELD matches that I'm going to shoot, Hornady 80 grain ELD matches. The weather's a little inclement today. I wanted to do this yesterday when it was sunny, but the rain's moved in here, and I just missed out yesterday. So I'm going to do it today. Ran out of time, ran out of daylight. So I'm going to do it today because I'm impatient and I really want to see if this works. And, you know, like I said, I just want to see if this works. I don't have a target cam set up because, as I mentioned, it is raining. I am also shooting undercover today. But I don't have a target cam set up because my target cam would not be waterproof. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll shoot the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings first with the once fired federal brass, and I'll go over the loads when I get back to the bench. I want to shoot these, and then we'll head back to the bench and take a look at the targets and see how it all came out. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I wasn't exactly 100% happy with my last shots I fired, and I wanted to check something else out. So I went back and I got my loads for the Sierra 90 grain match case, and I'm going to shoot 5 of those with twice fired brass and 5 of those with my annealed brass, and see what happens. We're back at the reloading bench, and I wanted to go through what I was shooting because I didn't go through that at the beginning because I just didn't have the information. I didn't want to put out bad information. So my first shots, my first 10, were with 95 grain Sierra Match Kings with 26.4 grains of reloader 16 at a 2.3 inch cartridge overall length. I shot a group of 5 with twice fired brass, and then a group of 5 with the annealed brass on the 5th time around. And then I shot 5 Hornady ELDMs at 27.5 grains of H4350 at a cartridge overall length of 2.25 inches on the annealed brass. That would have been the 5th firing. And then I went back and shot 2 groups of 90 grain Sierra Match Kings on 26.8 grains of reloader 16 at a 2.3 inch cartridge overall length. And I'll tell you why I did that. So, going back, just as a review, I was doing some load development. I wanted to verify my 80 grain ELDM load. I had 10 of those loaded up, and I was trying to develop my load for my 90 grain Sierra Match King with reloader 16. So this, I didn't measure this group, but again, it's a little erratic. You got one up there, they're just not really grouping well, and I expected better out of this, especially after my first time around. And then this one, again, little erratic, you know, stuff just flying where I didn't think it should have been flying. And again, I went back and I had 5 more of the 80 grain ELDMs on a load that I thought should be doing good, and that's what I got. Again, didn't measure it, but just all over the place. And generally, I feel that I can tell when I pull a shot. I don't know, there's just something about it. I can generally just feel when it wasn't right. So let's take a look at the results of what I shot. So first, I shot the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings. This was with the second twice fired Federal Brass. This was with my Annealed Brass. Nothing really to write home about. They had 1.2. The first group is 1.23 inches. The second group is 1.13 inches. So a little tighter on the Annealed Brass, but nothing really spectacular. And then here is my 80 grain ELDMs on H4350. My 5-shot group was 1.4 inches, 0.99 MOA, and I had 4 that were at a ½ inch. Now this shot I pulled. I could feel it. So, I mean, it's on paper, it's a 1.4 inch group, but I feel like I could have, if I wouldn't have pulled that shot, it could have been a lot better. And this is where me as a shooter, I need to work on some certain things. So that made me feel better about the Annealed Brass. This did not. But then I remembered I was doing load development on the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings, and I have not found my load for that bullet on Reloader 16. I've got one on H4350, but not Reloader 16. So I wanted to go back and, again, prove to myself that the Annealed Brass on the 5th firing was shooting as good as the other shooting as good as previously shot second fired brass. Just to prove that those results I got on the 4th firing and this had something to do with the fact that the brass was getting hard. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second as well. So I'm back and shot the 90 grain Sierra Match Kings. So, and this is a load that I've developed, and I'm getting about MOA accuracy with it. So this one is 0.98 inches, 5-shot group, 0.3 MOA, and this is 100 yards, if I haven't said that in the past. This was a second fired Federal Brass. And then here is the Annealed Brass, also 0.98 inches, 0.93 MOA. And this one, again, I feel like I pulled that round. So this group could have been a lot better. And these two basically shot the same. The group sizes are like literally identical, 0.98 inches, 0.93 MOA. So I really feel that annealing the brass made a difference. And there's some things I noticed as I was doing the casework on this load for the 5th time fired that I didn't really think too much about when I was doing case prep and loading on the 4th time around. And here's what I'll talk about. So when I was deburring and chamfering the bullets, it just felt gritty on the 4th time. The feel was different. On the annealed brass, it was considerably smoother. And then when I loaded the brass for the 4th time, all these rounds are compressed. I loaded everything, seated it, and then came back. So my process is I seat the bullet, I check it with the calipers, and then I come back around and do a crimp on them. So I loaded all my rounds, 30 I think on that day for the 4th time, on the bad day. And then I came back just to check, and every one of my pieces of brass that I've loaded, every one of those had pushed back out 10/1000ths of an inch. So I wanted to start at 2.30 inches for my jump test, and I seated it at 2.30, did everything else, came back, and it had actually pushed back out to 2.31. And the stuff I'd loaded at 2.29 had pushed out to 2.30, some of it a little bit further than that, and so on and so forth down the line. I didn't think too much about it at that time, but when I seated the bullets on the annealed brass, they did not push back out, and I specifically gave them time. I seated everything, measured them, put them in my shell holder, and went and did something else for like 20-30 minutes, just to kind of simulate the time that it would have taken me to, seat all the bullets and then come back around. And I came back and measured them, and they had not moved. So I really think that there was a case neck tension issue on that fourth time around with the brass, with it not being annealed. Just my opinion. The results show that they were certainly better after they were annealed. My groups tightened back up. So I think I'm going to move into annealing my brass every second firing. So, every even time around I reload it. When I go after, I guess. So after the second shot, I'll anneal it on the third. After the fourth shot, I'll anneal it on the fifth, and work that into my rotation, because it feels like it's making a difference. It really, really does. So again, I think I'm back as far as my reloading process. I was really concerned there for a bit. I really thought something went sideways and I was doing something just heinous and ridiculous to make those things blow out, but it looked like it was just the annealing process, just another step in the case prep process that I need to do. So that being said, I'm going to continue on with some load development. So here are my plans. I need to see if I can get that 95 grain Sierra Match King sorted out with Reloader 16. The rounds are really, or the powder's really getting compressed with Reloader 16. I haven't had pressure issues, but I'm certainly noticing a lot of split necks. I think I had 2 on those 10 that I fired, maybe more. I don't know. I kind of looked at them briefly, but we'll obviously come back around when we do the brass study after the 5th firing. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find something on that that's going to be workable as far as being able to shoot it and not just destroy the brass. I think it's just a case volume size thing. I don't know. I'll have to play around with it. There's probably something I can do. There was a gentleman from the Reloader Network who made a comment on one of my videos when I was talking about Reloader 16, so I need to go back and take a look at that as well and follow up on that comment and see if there's something there that I can learn and take from that comment. Also, that leads me into all the great communities out there. Specifically, you got the Reloaders Network. There's some really great people there, tons of information. Like I said, I reached out to some of the people when I was looking at this particular issue for the annealing, and they were very helpful. You got the 224 Valkyrie Reloaders Facebook page. You got Randall, CJ, and Ron out there. They're doing a great job with that whole community. Lots of great information there. So if you get a chance, you're into reloading, check out the Reloading Network. You're into reloading 224 Valkyrie specifically, check out the 224 Valkyrie Reloaders Facebook page. I'll put a link in the description for both of those. I guess I didn't finish my thought on load development. So I got the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings I want to verify. I'm getting some 88 grain ELD match. I'm getting a box of those bullets, or a box of those shells themselves from Hornady. So I'm going to get about 20 rounds, 20 cases of Hornady brass to start rotating through and do some work on those. I also got a box of 88 grain ELD bullets coming, and I've got 2 boxes of the 80 grain ELD M's. The little red rockets, as they're so lovingly called. And I think I'm going to get some H4895 and try CJ's load on that from the 224 Reloaders Facebook page. He's been getting really good results. There's a lot of people on that are getting really good results with the 80 grain ELDMs. And again, I saw that with some of my tests as well. That one might be a keeper of a bullet as far as, I mean, other people are doing great things with it. Hopefully I can get it to work as well. I think that is it. A lot of information. This one's going to be a long video, so I truly appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to them. So, this is the Big Man's Outdoors. Till next time, have fun outside.